Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes and getting likes, hitting dingers, getting listeners. Back again with another podcast. Yes, we took a brief delay. We had to fix our glitch that we had the other day in the podcast. So if you watched that episode, I apologize. There was a glitch, and the camera was not connected. I think it's 100% fixed now. It took a day, and it's fixed. So we're gonna break down some Brew Crew. As we always do here at the Miller Park Minute, this is a daily podcast. There are going to be glitches along the way. We've come to realize that in the time that we've done this podcast. This is the second full year of the podcast. If you haven't already, follow, subscribe, like this content. We appreciate that. We are on all the podcast platform: Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, CastBox, just to name a few. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can see us, or you can watch the YouTube videos. We are close to that 2,000 mark on YouTube. We're just under 300 subscribers away. So if you love my content, if you want to support me in any way, subscribing on YouTube is the best way to do it. You can join our Facebook group at Miller Park Minute and the Milwaukee Brewers. You can join Saturday Lives, which are going to start in February. I figure February is kind of when things are going to get going. So we're going to start doing Saturday Lives in February. Patreon, Miller Park Minute, if you want to go support us there, or you can join below on your podcast platform, YouTube, Spotify. I believe both have a link for that. That being said, all that out of the way, let's talk Brewers baseball. So, right now, there's this lull part outside of the Nola signing. We're gonna see, and my friend Bart Winkler kind of always says bites at the apple. As a strategy, and I think it was a quote from something. This is not surprising that the Brewers are making these minor moves. The Brewers are doing the Brewers, as I said, and I've said to many friends in conversation. The Dodgers are still doing the Dodgers with the signing of Teoscar Hernandez tonight or this evening. This isn't a small market versus little market type of thing. This is what comes down to it. And what it really comes down to is these are assets for these owners. These owners are choosing to not make moves at this time. There's great guys on the list. I'm going to go through a free agents. This comes straight out. 6 free agents who are better than you think. And obviously there's the big names out there right now. Josh Hader's still available. Just a slew of guys. Bellinger, Blake Snell doesn't have a contract. Blake freaking Snell does not have a contract yet. And some of these names have actually already been mentioned in conversations about the Brewers. But I'm going to run down this list and kind of talk about them. I think we all know we have major needs at first and third base. So the first guy on the list was Brandon Belt. Now, Brandon Belt is 36, 859 in the OPS category. I mean, he's been a consistent guy for the Giants. He's still good. I see a fit for him on our team. I really do. Another one that Bill, shout out Bill, has mentioned is Eduardo Escobar would be another good one. Another inexpensive ad. I don't know what you can get on a contract for Belt. Until they have fully pressed the button on the rebuild, I think we could add a chip on a 1-year deal. Another interesting one is Aroldis Chapman. He's available. Obviously, we know that Aroldis Chapman had his not showing up for practice with the Yankees, that whole drama that's gone down. But he's been a contributor to a lot of teams, Yankees, Cubs. He's been around a while. Reds, remember the Reds days? Oh, This one and I don't think Aroldis Chapman is somebody that we necessarily could need. Relievers, we've seemed to have a lot of success with signing these guys and turning something into or nothing into something. And it goes over and over and over again, and that strategy is working for us. So I don't think you need to sign the name reliever. It'd just be fun. I think you always dream about good players, not necessarily good guys. He's got some clouded life outside of the game. But good players, it's always kind of, you get that little bit of hope. JD Martinez is another one. He's strictly a DH at this point. Did play the outfield, but he's 36 as well. I don't see a place for him on us, so that's not one that I would look at. Tommy Pham is another one, outfielder, still very good. But we're getting to the part that I find interesting. I'll speak up, and we actually mentioned this. Butcher and I mentioned this in a one of the first videos that we did this year. Jorge Soler is another one, DH outfield. Of course, we don't need outfielders at this juncture, so I'm not even going to really talk about him. But the last one on the list is Marcus Stroman. He's age 33. He was a Cy Young candidate for most of the last year. Sure, he fell off late, but the first half of 2023, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. He was actually discussed as a possible all-star starter. It's not like it came out of nowhere either. He hasn't had an ERA over 4 since his rocky 2018. He is usually able to stay on the field too. Other than the 2020 season, which he opted out of, he made 25 or more starts in 6 of the past 7 seasons. I don't know that he'd take a 1-year deal. I mean, he just got off one with the Cubs. So it's a potential. But that's definitely one that I would put up on the list and say, if you got to pay him 10 million, 12 million for a year, that might be a decent ad, especially considering they haven't gone full rebuild yet. If they go full rebuild, yeah, it would be stupid. But they haven't yet. They're not pushing the button on that. They're not sending Burns. They're not sending Adames. Just they aren't there yet. So I think that is kind of, there's a couple in that 6 that we could use, and they're, according to MLB, they're underrated. As far as what I think about the roster as it stands, I don't think it's going to stay the same. I think it's decent enough to compete in our division, but we'll see. We'll see how this roster is constructed. We can talk about one thing in January and end up somewhere completely different. I mean, we were days before and on deck in January, and they pulled off on the same day Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich. And that was one of the best memories I have in post off season, free agency. That was one of the best, and I think it's one of the best for every Brewers fan. I'm just ready to stop talking about 1982. As we sit, they're showing old highlights on the Brewers page. It's sad. And I'm ready to move forward. Did want to talk about Ricky Weeks for a minute. I think it's an interesting maneuver for manager. I haven't talked about Pat Murray. I did talk about in brief, just mentioned my side thoughts. But one of the things that I think is interesting here is we took a guy who, didn't really have coaching experience, and we put him in a coaching position because he's a homer. And again, Brewers being Brewers, you move Pat Murphy, who's the previous bench coach, to manager, and then you put Ricky Weeks in. They're not going to do anything bold. I think what I said the other day was they're not going to spend any money. And that's is what it is, I guess. I mean, with this organization, you can't expect anything but that. You can't. Um, we make Brewers moves, and the epitome of a Brewers move is the cheapest move possible. Um, I don't know that Ricky will be manager. I mean, I don't know how long Pat Murphy's going to kick around, but I think it's a weird thing to circle back. I mean, we've had Dale Swain before. We've had Ned Yost. Former Brewers have been managers for years. Just weird. I'm going to take a moment, and I don't do this often on the pod. This is not something that I even have totally covered. But Jackson Chourio was a standout prospect in the MILB in 2023. With good reason, obviously. We extended him, albeit I'm a little bothered by it. I will accept it in the long and short. One of the things I guess is the hardest is we don't know how he's going to react when it gets to the major league level. Jackson Chourio has great stats in all levels of the minors, but we've seen it before, i.e. Keston Hiura, where a guy comes to the big leagues and doesn't perform or struggles. The most recent example, and he got forced in, didn't get much time, was Joey Wiemer. I mean, do we want Jackson Chourio so bad that if he has Joey Wiemer stats, because that's what we're talking about. And I think that's what happens if you rush him. And yes, we could make a comparison, and we could draw the stats in the book and say, okay, yep, his stats are way better than Joey Wiemer's. He's rated higher than Joey Wiemer was. But at the end of the day, let's look at the fact. Let's look at the fact that he is still young and still not played more than 6 games at a AAA level. AAA to major leagues is the biggest jump in the system. I have a good friend of mine who shoots video content and talks to a lot of the minor leaguers, and they talk about the level of pitching jumps and how each level of competition is different. That's same with pitchers. You see them struggle once they get to the major leagues because the hitters are just that much smarter. And I think that's a tough hill to cross, and to expect a young guy to just be able to do it like it's nothing is not an easy go. One thing I just was looking at Baseball Reference as I do while I talk to you guys a lot of times, is one thing I didn't realize record wise last year, and this is kind of a crazy one. Out of the divisions, Baltimore had more wins than us, 101. Atlanta had 104. Dodgers had 100. Houston only had 90 wins, and they were the division winner. And Minnesota, division winner, had 87. So we were in the top 4 for division winners, and of course, teams that made the playoffs. Top 4 of 6. So not a bad thing to talk about. I don't know. I guess that's one of the things to me, right, that I'll review and say all day long that the team was better than everyone portrays, especially these people with the microphone. The people with the microphone also don't realize And I think last year too was an example of every piece contributed along the way at some point or another. Whether you had William Contreras, who was batting 289, Yelich, who was just behind him, 278. It doesn't matter where these pieces contributed, where they fell in, if they fell off, because at the end it's a team game, and the team got to where it got to. So one of the things that is going to happen this week is I'm going to do an early predictions, where I see it standing right now with team by team, how we're going to break down. I don't think I'm going to do the whole MLB. I struggle to do that because there's just so many teams that I don't know every player and I don't know rosters. But one of the big things that I'm going to do is talk about individual accomplishments, the fringe players. I think the fringe players is a good conversation piece because you've got guys like, last year we had Ramal Tapia play for us. We had John Singleton. We had Darren Ruff, Abraham Toro, Jahmai Jones. Remember that one? Remember to like this video. My bubbles came back. Andre Montesterio, Owen Miller, Carlos Santana, Victor Caratini, Mark Kana. You've had all these guys and the regular names, of course, too. But like those fringe players provide a lot of value to us in the long and short of this game. And I think that's very, very beneficial for the Brewers because those fringe players don't cost a lot of money. Not that I care how much they spend because I think they could spend more and should spend more. But like I said in the last video, guys, these owners are concerned that they're not going to get paydays. And I think that's a big deal. I'm going to take a second out to mention, if you want up to date, like minutes, updated content really fast, you can go over to brewerfanatic.com. Those guys are really good. David Go, who's been on the show 100 times, has been really good about updating information about new free agent signings. If you go follow his page, if you go over to Brewer Fanatic, he does very good videos. They've got some good content over there. Nothing by me right now, but it'll come. It'll come in time, guys. I have so many plans, so many ideas, and so many things that you will see in this new season. And I just want to thank you all for sticking with me, hanging around, and we will catch you in the next episode. Remember to like and subscribe, share with your friends. As always, guys, go Brew Crew, and we'll catch you tomorrow again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You have a great day.